approaches. He said the terrorists have informants within the local communities, adding that the military surveillance cannot cover every area at once. Also responding to suggestions that terrorists may be using armed drones, the minister dismissed such claims, saying what had been seen so far were improvised civilian drones.
The federal government has commenced the development of a bamboo processing factory in Kogi State as part of efforts to provide alternatives to tree of Environment. Balara Oluyole disclosed this today during the 7th edition of the 2025 Ministerial Press Briefing in Abuja. According to him, bamboo offers a viable substitute for trees as a source of cooking fuel and other products. He stated that the government has launched the agroforestry project and other initiatives to integrate agriculture into forests across the nation. He further said the National Agency for the Great Green Wall is implementing afforestation, reforestation and sustainable land management project in the 11 frontline northern states in the Sahel region affected by the encroachment of the Sahara.
The newly introduced Nigeria First policy of the federal government towards boosting local industries requires a collective disposition from Nigerians for effective and successful implementation. Finance and economic analyst Tunji Adepeju and the treasurer Oyo, Osun, Ondo and Ekiti States branch of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Mr. Sunday Aborimo, expressed this view while discussing the topic federal government's move to encourage local manufacturers and on BCOS Television Current Affairs Breakfast Program AM 120. Our reporter Fedora Afolagboye, who monitored the program, has the details.
The federal government recently announced initiative to boost local manufacturing, aligning with the renewed Hope Nigeria First policy, aimed at strengthening the domestic economy and promoting local content. Speaking on the development, a finance and economic analyst, Tunji Adepeju, observed that the initiative is a good step to reset Nigeria's economy, which has become overly import-dependent. While discussing the various challenges faced by Nigerian manufacturers, Mr. Adepeju urged them to rather focus on finding solutions than depending on government aid or laying blames.
We need to go back into producing chocolate air. Air. When you look at this, if you go to parties now, what do you find? You find people serving what's it called now? Drinks. That's right there. You mix orange with pineapple and all the rest. We don't have to wait till you import processed things from South Africa before we move on. So we just need to do our arithmetic and do it well.
Also featuring on the program, the treasurer, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Oyo, Osun, Ondo, Ekiti State branch, Mr. Sunday Aborimo, highlighted poor power supply, bad roads, and insecurity as some of the challenges that have forced many local producers to shut down. He stressed the need for the government to lead by example to ensure the successful implementation of the policy.
As good as the moves are, we have to look at the challenges of manufacturers. The first thing and the major thing is the issue of power. Let me make some explanation. Before now, let me take a company, I won't mention the name, the power bill was about maybe between 73 million to 80 million a month.
For that company?
For power, for that company.
Oh, are you trying to say per annum?
No, per month. You can check records. But by the advent of this branding, band A, band B, band C, most manufacturers are placed on band A. And the effect is that whatever bill we were paying before was multiplied 3 times, 300%. And no blinking. Some factories who cannot cope have closed down. I can say with every sense of authority that some companies who could not cope have closed down. And some, what they did is to cut down the production so that they can still be in business.
They both urged Nigerians to support progress and shun sabotage, while calling on leaders to prioritize the nation's interests. Fidora Afolagbe, BCOS News.
Nigerian senators commenced debate on tax reform bills proposed by President Bola Tinubu. The deliberation during the plenary began this afternoon after the senators returned from a closed-door session, which lasted for about 2 hours. Consideration of the tax reform bills was the only item listed on today's order paper of the Senate. The tax reform bills passed second reading in the Senate last November, and the House of Representatives passed them at third reading in March 2025, shortly before the lawmakers adjourned for the Easter and Eid al-Fitr holidays. Following the second reading in the Senate, the bills were referred to the Senate Committee on Finance, chaired by Niger East Senator Sani Musa, for detailed review and public consultation. The committee conducted multiple public hearings where a majority of stakeholders voiced support for the reforms.
A fresh constitutional face-off has emerged between the Benue State House of Assembly and the National Assembly after the state lawmakers declined to honor a summons from the House of Representatives Public Petitions Committee. The House of Representatives Committee had summoned the governors of Benue and Zamfara states, Hyacinth Aliya and Dauda Lawal, respectively, as well as their respective state assembly speakers and House leadership to appear before it. The reps said the governors and assembly's leaders must appear to explain why their constitutional functions should not be taken over by the House of Representatives. The development sparked political controversy, with the Benue legislature describing the federal directive as both ignorant and unconstitutional. It will be recalled that the Benue State Assembly passed a resolution urging its Speaker, Right Honorable Hyacinth Awodona Dajo, to disregard the invitation issued by the reps panel.
The National Association of Polytechnic Students, NAPES, has issued a 5-day ultimatum to the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, NELFund, board to provide a detailed breakdown of fund disbursement. The student loan scheme has come under intense scrutiny following allegations by the National Orientation Agency that some institutions, in collaboration with banks, have been making fraudulent deductions from student loan disbursement. Last week, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) said its preliminary probe revealed that while NELFund had released 100 billion naira as student loan, 71 billion naira is accounted for. These allegations triggered a wave of outrage, culminating in a protest on Monday by members of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NAS, who blocked the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. In a communique issued today, which was signed by the President, Yusufenu Ogaya, and Senate President Oyewumi Ayomide Napes, said it will mobilize protests nationwide should NELFund fail to reveal breakdown of how polytechnics received funds.
This broadcast of Newscope is coming to you from the Broadcasting Corporation of Oyo State, Ibadan. An army captain and a soldier have been killed by Boko Haram terrorists in a midnight attack on Isge community in Goza local government area of Borno State. According to the Emir of Goza, Muhammad Shehu Timta, the attack happened around 1 a.m. today when the terrorists infiltrated the farming community, shooting sporadically before the personnel of the Nigerian Armed Forces, with the assistance of local hunters, vigilantes, and members of the Civilian Joint Task Force, repelled the terrorists, killing 3 of them while recovering items from the fleeing terrorists: several motorcycles, bicycles, an operational vehicle, and a sophisticated rifle, all belonging to the terrorists, were recovered. Speaking to newsmen this morning, the traditional ruler commended the military, men of the Civilian Joint Task Force, local hunters, vigilantes, and the resilient community of Isge for their collaborative efforts in repelling the attack, while praying for the repose of the souls of the departed military personnel and their families for the irreparable loss. He also called for urgent step by the federal government to address the renewed attacks as people prepare for this year's farming season.
The Oyo State Governor, Engineer Sheyi Makinde, has assured the state intending pilgrims of the 2026 Hajj pilgrimage that they will be airlifted directly from the Ladoke Akitele Airport to Saudi Arabia. Governor Makinde gave the assurance during a farewell event organized for the state intending pilgrims to Saudi Arabia today. The governor charged the intending pilgrims from the state to be good ambassadors, commended Sheikh Hashim Atare, led Hajj board for a successful Hajj operation in the year 2024, while ruling out various achievements of its administration, which has been of intense benefits to the Uludu Hajj camp. Governor Makinde pledged that infrastructure within the Hajj camp shall be completed by next year. Also, the chairman of Oyo State Pilgrims Welfare Board Muslim Wing, Sheikh Atare, appreciated Governor Makinde for his unprecedented developmental strides and continuous support to the Muslim community and the board towards a smooth 2025 Hajj exercise. He explained that with the support of the governor, the state has secured the visas for all the intended pilgrims, who will all be airlifted in 2 batches on May 10th and 11th, 2025 without any delay. He added that the board has secured befitting accommodation for all the intended pilgrims and other arrangements. In the separate goodwill messages, the chairman Muslim community of Ibadan, Chief Bayo Oyero, and Senator Monsiurat Simono appreciated Governor Makinde for his unflinching support, charging the intending pilgrims not to use the Hajj exercise as a social visit or tourist adventure, but see it as one of the strong pillars of Islam.
Rehabilitation work was revived about 3 weeks ago along the Ojo end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway after abandonment by the contractors handling the project due to financial disagreements between the federal government. But before this, many lives have been lost to various degrees of accident due to negligence and the attitude of drivers while plying the expressway. Staff reporter Bimbo Akambi takes a look at the progress on the reconstruction.
Road Ojo end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway had been bedeviled with so many casualties following the non-completion of that road at the Ojo end of the road. After many complaints, yes, the federal government that is handling the project, saddled with the responsibility of completing this project, I think has come up with this early completion of this road.
Drivers plying the Iwo Road Ojo end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway are even a sigh of relief now that the reconstruction works on the road resumed some weeks ago. Due to diversions and structures put on one half of the road, making motorists, including heavy-duty vehicles and smaller vehicles, manage a lane, serious accidents had occurred, claiming lives and even property. For instance, about 3 tanker accidents and other related accidents were recorded in the last 4 months following the abandonment of the road project. People have died while trying to cross to the other side of that road, but now there seems to be light after the tunnel as the reconstruction works resumed about a month ago. Construction equipment have been moved back to site and work is going on at a rather fast rate. One of the construction workers called on the road users to exercise patience as the construction work will be completed soon.
My own belief is that very soon we will soon complete the work, then we open the road for traffic to move. The advice that I have for them is just that let them exercise patience a little, because at them being all those mikra people, they used to exercise patience, all this traffic for not the occur. But this one we say I won't agree for this one to pass. This one we say I won't agree for this one to pass. So from there the hold up we host.
Like one of my neighbors, he lost his daughter while crossing the road. Many accidents usually normally happen here. But now that the work have started, we've not been seeing, well, it has been reduced. But our prayer now is just to make the work quickly so that we can enjoy our normal stuff on the road. Just we've been asking for government if they can do some bridges for the major sport like Agbo, like our students going to school now. It will be very difficult for them to cross.
A resident around the area who expressed sadness at the loss of lives over the past months due to the non-completion of the Ojo end of the expressway also opined that construction of pedestrian bridges should also be considered.
With these steps now taken by the federal government to complete this road, especially at the Ojo end of the Iwo Road Ojo Expressway, so that we will not suffer casualties, talking about accidents along this route in the nearest future. My name is Bimbo Akombi, reporting for BCUS News.
Solar energy is rapidly becoming one of the most influential sources of energy due to its reliability and sustainability. However, due to high demand by people, there have been reports of unprofessional solar installers in the business. Business reporter Temitope Abraham takes a look at the danger of employing unprofessional solar installer and other related issues.
Solar energy means that the use of sunlight to produce power that generates electricity. Due to the inconsistent power supply experienced in nooks and crannies of the nation, Nigerians who can afford it are falling back on solar energy to enjoy power supply 24/7. The high demand of solar power now has made a lot of people venture into the business. Some experienced, some with little or no experience at all. Reports has it that some houses have now been razed to the ground due to bad installation of solar panel, wiring and the likes, destroying properties and lives in the process. Speaking with a solar consultant in Ibadan, engineer Oluyole Francis pointed out that there are many technicians out there that doesn't have the adequate knowledge or rudiment of the solar business.
Solar energy doesn't have a negative effect because it's a green energy. It doesn't emit any carbon monoxide, it doesn't emit any pollution to the environment. So it's a pure and clean form of energy. It is good to hire a competent professional in any solar installation you want to do. And if you do not, if you compromise the financial implication because you want to manage your finance, in the future it has a big effect, negative effect on you, the owner of the project. Because one, if you hire incompetent person, definitely incompetent materials will be used by such people, and it could result into a lot of things. One of it is either they oversize the quantity of battery, the components in general that they want to use for you, oversize it, the numbers of battery, the numbers of solar panel, the size of the inverter they want to use for you. They might also undersize it because this thing is a technical thing and involve calculation from point A to point B. To the sizing of the cable, it is pure calculation, and it's not just what an electrician or a carpenter will just tell you he knows about it. This is beyond that. It is pure and engineering work.
Engineer Francis further called for the regulation of the industry and a necessity for all installers and technicians to be certified and trained in safe installation practices, electrical system and rooftop work.
Before you go for such project, you need a consultant who will tell you what you need to do, what you need precisely. That consultant will tell you how you get a good solar panel. In get market today, you see people are buying label instead of original solar panel. People are avoiding it because it's expensive, but people prefer to buy substandard one. What do I mean? You see a 500 watt solar panel being labeled 700. You see 300 solar panel being labeled 450. You do not know it. Many people, there are these areas of new innovation, many people don't know about it. So you need a trustworthy person. There are machines to test solar panel, performance of solar panel, if they are not doing well. But people don't care. They just go to one shop or the other, they buy themselves, they call a quack to come and do the installation. And so these days you begin to hear solar panel has generated a fire outbreak somewhere because of some standard cable. Including the cable, the size of your project will determine the size of cable you will use. But you see, electricians, you see people who follow engineers to site for one or 2 days. They will tell you they can copy and paste. What was done in a project A, in a site A, they think that is how it is being applicable to other projects. It is not like that.
Observers opine that to prevent loss of lives, property, and ensure safety in solar panel business, strong regulation and enforcement are essential across several germane areas in both the structural aspects and personnel.
And on the foreign scene, India and Pakistan exchanged heavy artillery fire along their contested frontier today after New Delhi launched deadly missile strike on its arch rival in the worst violence between the nuclear-armed neighbors in 2 decades. At least 38 deaths were reported, with Islamabad saying 26 civilians were killed by the Indian strikers and firing along the border, and New Delhi adding at least 12 dead from Pakistan in shelling. The fighting came 2 weeks after New Delhi blamed Islamabad for backing an attack on the Indian-run side of disputed Kashmir. The Indian army said justice is served, reporting that 9 tourist camps had been destroyed, with New Delhi adding that its actions have been focused, measured, and non-escalatory in nature. An Indian senior security source who asked not to be named said 3 of its fighter jets had crashed on home territory.
To end this edition of Newscope, here again are the main point. The Minister of Defense, Mohammed Abubakar, has reacted to claims about the House of Representatives that terrorists carrying out attacks in the country possesses superior weaponry compared to Nigerian armed forces.
The Oyo State Governor, Engineer Sheyi Makinde, has assured the state intending pilgrims of the 2026 Hajj pilgrimage that they will be airlifted directly from the Ladoke Akintola Airport to Saudi Arabia.
The federal government has commenced the development of a bamboo processing factory in Kogi State as part of efforts to provide alternatives to tree felling and promote sustainable forest use.
India and Pakistan exchanged heavy artillery fire along their contested frontier today after New Delhi launched deadly missile strikes on its arch rival in the worst violence between the nuclear-armed neighbors in 2 decades.
And that's all from Newscope Desk for now. It was packaged by Eniola Adiaga and delivered by
Josephine Oluwabumi. Good evening.
And I am Pat I2. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to tune in for the Yoruba version at 8 o'clock this evening. Good evening once again.